It is the final emissary from Earth to ever touch the surface of Venus. A silent monument to a forgotten age of exploration, it lies crushed and corroded, the last in a long, arduous line of machines sent by the Soviet Union to confront the most hostile environment in our solar system. This is the story of what they found beneath the clouds and why humanity has never returned. The profound mystery of Venus is its unsettling paradox. A world so fundamentally similar to our own, yet so catastrophically different. While Mars now captures the modern imagination, in the nascent days of the space race, all eyes were fixed on our other neighbor. The red planet, after all, offered a stark, albeit incomplete portrait through Earth-bound telescopes. We could map its craters and polar caps, and we had a sobering sense that its thin atmosphere held few promises. But Venus has always jealously guarded its secrets beneath an eternal, impenetrable veil of cloud. From our distant vantage point, we could see only a brilliant, featureless sphere. Yet that very obstruction was a tantalizing clue. Those clouds spoke of a dense, substantial atmosphere, one far more akin to Earth's than the whisper-thin air of Mars. And orbiting closer to the Sun, the world below must surely be warm. This simple logic ignited the scientific imagination of the mid-20th century. Our sister world, our closest planetary relative, could be a teeming tropical paradise. Visions of steaming jungles, primeval swamps, and perhaps even alien life filled the pages of science fiction and the speculative papers of astronomers. Even by 1960, however, this was a contested dream. A darker prophecy had already been put forth by the astronomer Carl Sagan. He argued that the planet's unbroken shroud was not nurturing a paradise, but concealing an inferno. The result, he theorized, of a runaway greenhouse effect, an atmospheric furnace that had superheated the world into a scorched, desolate hellscape. A lush Eden, or a barren furnace. There was only one way to resolve the debate. As with so many milestones of that era, the Soviet Union moved first. The year was 1961. The Soviets were riding a cascade of unprecedented triumphs. They had launched the first satellite, Sputnik, shocking the West. They had sent the first man, Yuri Gagarin, into the cosmos. They had even impacted the moon with the Luna 2 probe. Venus, the next celestial body beyond our moon, was the obvious, audacious next step. In the high-stakes theater of the Cold War, these missions were less about pure scientific discovery and more about demonstrating ideological and technological supremacy. If knowledge was gained along the way, it was a welcome byproduct. But the currency of the era was prestige, and being first was everything. In the cold calculus of the space race, beyond the familiar glow of the moon, there hung another, more enigmatic prize: Venus. The morning star, shrouded in a perpetual veil of cloud, beckoned with the promise of untold discovery. For the Soviet Union, a nation riding high on a string of early spacefaring triumphs, Venus was the logical next conquest. With their ambitions clearly defined, they engineered two identical probes, designated Venera 1 and Venera 2. This dual approach was not a sign of supreme confidence, but a brutal hedge against the unforgiving void. In these nascent decades of interplanetary travel, the odds were stark. Failure was not just a possibility, it was the expectation. To launch missions in pairs was an open admission of fallibility, a practical strategy born from the harsh reality that for every success, there were countless silent failures tumbling through the darkness. The ambition of these primitive flights is difficult to overstate. With little more than slide rules and endless columns of handwritten figures to chart a course across millions of kilometers of empty space, Russian engineers took the raw components of their technological might, a sophisticated probe, a powerful rocket engine, and the chassis of an R-7 intercontinental ballistic missile, and fused them into a vessel of discovery. The instruments of interplanetary science were bolted onto the engines of terrestrial destruction. They aimed this hybrid creation at a tiny point of light in the sky, ignited the fuel, and held their breath. The initial results were a tantalizing mix of triumph and tragedy. Both Venera 1 and its successor managed to pierce the cosmic veil, screaming past their target within a mere 100,000 kilometers, a staggering feat of navigation for the era. But proximity was not the goal. Communication was, and in the final, critical stages of their long journey, both probes fell silent. A cascade of system failures rendered them inert, their cameras unseeing, their sensors dead. They became twin ghosts in orbit of the sun, having glimpsed their destination, but returning no usable data. The morning star had kept its secrets. While Soviet engineers sifted through the telemetry, searching for the source of the devastating silence, their American rivals saw an opening. NASA pressed onward with its own Venusian program, Mariner. In the year 1962, the Americans would claim the prize the Soviets had so desperately sought. Their Mariner 2 probe, a delicate latticework of electronics and solar panels, executed a flawless trajectory, closing to within 35,000 kilometers of the planet. It was the first successful close-up observation of another world in human history. For 42 precious minutes, as it hurtled past the planet, Mariner 2's instruments scanned the impenetrable cloud tops, tasting the atmosphere and measuring its heat. The data that streamed back to Earth was not just significant, it was profoundly troubling. The findings offered the first empirical proof of a chilling theory proposed by a young Carl Sagan, that Venus was in the grip of a runaway greenhouse effect. The temperatures recorded were staggering, reaching as high as 459 degrees Fahrenheit or 237 degrees Celsius, more than double the boiling point of water. And this was merely the temperature high in the atmosphere, measured from orbit. The conditions on the surface below could only be imagined, and those imaginings were hellish. Mariner 2 also revealed the colossal scale of the planet's cloud layer. It was an incredibly dense, unbroken shroud that began far above the surface and extended upwards for 80 kilometers. On Earth, this would be the equivalent of a permanent planet-wide cloud bank stretching from the ground to the very edge of space. The veil that had so entranced astronomers for centuries was not a gentle mist, but a suffocating barrier of sulfuric acid. The surface of Venus remained a mystery, but the data painted a dystopian portrait. It was now safe to assume that nothing, absolutely nothing, could be alive down there. For NASA, the verdict was in. Venus was a planetary dead end, an environment so utterly inhospitable that it was beyond the reach of either man or machine at the time. The agency made a strategic pivot, turning its gaze toward the more attainable goals of the Moon and the tantalizing, rust-colored plains of Mars. But the Soviets were not so easily dissuaded. They had been the first to reach the vicinity of Venus, and they refused to cede the planet. Where the Americans saw an insurmountable inferno, the Soviet space program saw a challenge. They felt they were on the cusp of a monumental discovery, and with the United States effectively bowing out of the race, the prize was now theirs for the taking. They returned to their design bureaus, refocusing their immense resources to prepare a second, more resilient wave of Venera probes. They were determined to pierce the veil and touch the surface. They had no inkling, however, of the true horror that awaited them, or of the immense cost required to finally conquer a world that seemed actively hostile to their arrival. The race for Venus was far from over. It was about to enter its most brutal and revealing phase, a testament to the unyielding human compulsion to journey into the fire, simply to see what lies within. By the year 1966, the heavens had become a theater of geopolitical rivalry. The frantic, high-stakes race to the moon dominated the headlines, a celestial stage where the United States and the Soviet Union
performed for the world. America, having shaken off its early setbacks, was now gaining momentum, its Apollo program a thundering declaration of intent. Landing a man on the lunar surface had become the singular, obsessive goal.
It had not forgotten their fascination with Venus. For them, it was a ghost planet, a world shrouded in mystery and a prize of a different sort. While America looked to the moon, Soviet engineers had spent 4 arduous years toiling in secret, forging a new generation of explorers.
The result was a pair of spacecraft, Venera 3 and Venera 4, designed not merely to fly by, but to conquer. These were not the relatively delicate probes of the past. They were armored emissaries. Their mass increased to over 900 kilograms, a significant leap from the roughly 650 kilograms of their predecessors. This added weight was a testament to the brutal lessons learned from earlier failures. Venus was hostile, and only the strong would survive the journey.
Within their fortified shells, they carried a sophisticated suite of instruments, a collection of mechanical senses designed to perceive an alien world. A barometer to measure the crushing weight of the air, a radar altimeter to pierce the clouds and map the unseen terrain below, gas analyzers to taste the chemical composition of the atmosphere, and thermometers to gauge its infernal heat. The centerpiece of this design was a detachable pod, a robust descent module engineered for the most perilous part of the mission. The plan was audacious. As the main craft burned up in the atmosphere, this sphere would be released, deploying a parachute to drift slowly, methodically, through the dense Venusian sky. It was to be a messenger, sending back a continuous stream of data on composition, temperature, and pressure, a final report from a world no one had ever touched.
But in the unforgiving vacuum of space, plans are merely suggestions. The journey of Venera 3 was plagued by misfortune. Somewhere in the silent, empty expanse between Earth and Venus, a critical system failed. Its voice went silent, its instruments went blind. Yet, its trajectory, calculated with grim precision, remained true. The probe became a dead projectile, a cosmic cannonball aimed at the heart of another world. On March 1st, 1966, it struck the planet. It was a silent, violent arrival, the first time a human creation had ever made physical contact with another planet. In the unforgiving calculus of space exploration, even a catastrophic failure could be reframed as a historic first. The Soviet Union had now achieved a strange and brutal hat trick. They were the first to impact the Moon, the first to impact Mars, and now, the first to impact Venus. It was a legacy written in wreckage, a testament to an ambition so fierce that even its failures left indelible scars on the solar system.
1 year later, in 1967, came the flight of Venera 4. This time, the silence from mission control was not one of malfunction, but of tense anticipation. The probe flawlessly executed its long voyage, arriving at Venus with all systems nominal. The moment of truth had arrived. The command was given, and the descent module separated, beginning its solitary plunge.
It sliced into the upper atmosphere, a man-made meteor enduring unimaginable friction and heat. Then, as planned, its parachutes blossomed against the strange ochre sky. For the first time, a human artifact was drifting gently through the atmosphere of another world. As it descended, its instruments awoke. It began to speak, sending faint whispers across millions of kilometers of space. On Earth, scientists huddled around their receivers, capturing the first precious data ever collected from within the clouds of Venus. This single, fragile capsule was rewriting textbooks with every meter it fell. It was a staggering triumph, a moment when science fiction became scientific fact. The data that trickled back was not merely interesting, it was revolutionary. It painted a picture of a world far more extreme, more violent, and more alien than anyone had ever dared to imagine. It was the beginning of the end for the dream of a sister Earth, and the dawn of a new, more terrifying understanding of the planet next door. The first message from Venus was a warning.
In the highest reaches of its atmosphere, Venus offers a deceptive welcome.
Here, suspended in the clouds, the conditions mirror a warm summer day on Earth, a temperate, almost hospitable frontier. But this is a celestial siren, a gilded cage. To descend is to journey into another reality, a realm where the laws of nature are twisted into a malevolent extreme. With every meter of descent, a probe does not simply fall, it is consumed. The temperature climbs relentlessly, but it is the pressure that truly defines this alien abyss. It is a concept that strains the terrestrial imagination, an atmont.
The air is not merely thick, it is heavy, a tangible fluid pressing in from all sides. For one early Soviet probe, this descent became a 90-minute ordeal, a slow surrender to the colossal weight of the sky. Then, silence. The transmission ceased, the link to its creators severed forever. Back on Earth, the engineers and scientists could only conclude one thing. Their creation, a marvel of human ingenuity, had been compressed into a ruin of twisted metal, unceremoniously flattened by the sheer mass of the planet's atmosphere.
With this grim knowledge, the Soviets faced a stark reality.
Their remaining landers, Venera 5 and 6, were built to the same design, forged with the same vulnerabilities. They were, for all intents and purposes, already ghosts. Yet, in the cold January of 1969, they were launched anyway, sent on back-to-back missions into the Venusian furnace. This was no longer just about science. The decade was drawing to a close, and the shadow of American triumph loomed large. A crew had already orbited the moon. The first human footsteps on the lunar surface were imminent. The Soviets knew the race for the moon was lost, but Venus, the enigmatic morning star, offered another stage. If they could conquer its surface, if they could unveil a discovery of profound significance, they might yet claim a victory to rival Apollo, a triumph to keep the embers of the space race glowing.
Success, however, would not be granted so easily. The premonitions proved true. Both Venera probes succumbed to the abyss, their transmissions lasting less than an hour each before they met the same crushing fate as their predecessor. They had confirmed the hellscape, but had not survived it. And yet, in the face of this repeated catastrophic failure, the Soviet Union was not discouraged. Their response was one of brute force resolve. They would not be deterred. They would simply build bigger. They would build stronger.
For the next attempts, Venera 7 and 8, the design philosophy was one of fortification. The descent module was reimagined as an armored bathyscaphe for an atmospheric ocean. Its outer shell was forged from a thicker wall of steel, engineered to withstand pressures that defied comprehension. Inside this fortress, a second layer of defense was added, an internal sphere of pure titanium, a vault to shield the delicate instruments from the searing heat. Between these layers, shock-absorbing padding was installed, a final, prescient measure against the violence of impact.
It was a wise addition.
On the 17th of August, 1970, as Venera 7 plunged into the ochre clouds, its parachute deployed, and then, almost immediately, failed. Whether the fabric was shredded by the turbulent, superheated winds or simply melted away remains unknown. The result was the same. The landing module became a meteorite of hummers per hour before striking the Venusian surface with unimaginable force, bouncing across the alien terrain.
In the control room, the sudden E, another machine sacrificed to the unforgiving world. But they were wrong. From the wreckage, a ghostly whisper endured. The antenna was mangled, the signal weak and intermittent, but it was there, a voice from the inferno. For 23 minutes, Venera 7 transmitted from the surface of Venus, the first spacecraft ever to do so. And the information it sent back confirmed the scientists' most dreadful theories. The temperature at its final resting place was 475 degrees Celsius, nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. It was a world not just hostile to life, but seemingly designed for its annihilation. The victory was not in finding a new world to explore, but in surviving, for a few brief moments, a place that should have been unsurvivable. It was a testament not to the hospitality of the cosmos, but to the sheer, stubborn will of a species that refused to be told it could not go there.
460 degrees Celsius, a temperature that matches the searing heart of a wood-fired pizza oven, a heat intense enough to melt lead into a shimmering pool. It is an environment far too hostile for any terrestrial machine, a realm where intricate electronics are baked into silence, and steel itself begins to lose its integrity. And yet, for the Soviet space program of the 1970s, this inferno was not a barrier. It was a destination.
By this point in the great cosmic race, what was there to lose? The lunar dust had settled, and upon it were American footprints. That contest, for the ultimate prize of the moon, was over. One chapter of human history had been written, and the Soviet Union found itself on the losing side. But the cosmos is vast, and history has many pages. Other opportunities, other firsts, remained scattered amongst the planets. They could be the first to uncover the secrets of Venus, to decipher the story of a runaway greenhouse effect that might hold lessons for our own world. They could be the first to set a machine down upon the red sands of Mars. This became the new doctrine, a pivot away from the moon and towards the unknown depths of the solar system. Interplanetary exploration would be their new frontier.
In 1971, they aimed for Mars. A probe achieved the first ever soft touchdown on its alien soil, a monumental accomplishment. But the triumph was fleeting. The lander transmitted for a mere 20 seconds before an inexplicable silence fell. A whisper from another world, then nothing. It was a victory, but a hollow one, a ghost of a success. So, in 1972, they returned to their old obsession, Venus. The probe, Venera 8, was launched into the void. This time, miraculously, the intricate dance of engineering and physics proceeded without a flaw. The descent module, a hardened sphere of science, detached and began its perilous fall. It parachuted through the thick, toxic clouds, landing softly upon the superheated surface with all of its instruments intact. For nearly 1 full hour, it defied the hellscape around it, transmitting a stream of data that painted a truly terrifying portrait of Earth's sister planet.
The numbers that returned to Earth were staggering. In addition to the lead-melting heat, the atmospheric pressure was confirmed to be 92 times that of Earth at sea level. It is a weight equivalent to being submerged 1 kilometer beneath the ocean, a crushing, immense force exerted on every square centimeter. And as if this planetary vice were not enough, the lower atmosphere was found to be saturated with clouds of sulfuric acid, the corrosive chemical that powers a car battery. One might imagine that this confirmed knowledge of a world that simultaneously crushes, burns, and dissolves would finally deter even the most resolute engineers. But for the Soviet Union, quitting was not an option. Not when they were this close. Not when they were on the verge of cementing a legacy as the first true interplanetary explorers. Because buried within Venera 8's final transmission was one last fact, a single detail so tantalizing it could not be ignored. Despite the planet's perpetual, suffocating shroud of cloud, a measurable amount of sunlight still reached the surface. There was just enough light to take a photograph.
The prize was now clear. The first image ever captured from the surface of another planet.
For this audacious goal, a new machine was conceived, Venera 9. The changes were fundamental, visible in its very silhouette. The descent capsule was, of course, reinforced yet again. A behemoth of engineering, now tipping the scales at nearly 5 metric tons, the approximate weight of a fully grown African elephant. But the true innovation lay in its landing procedure. Drawing a brutal, accidental lesson from the earlier Venera 7 mission, which had survived a catastrophic fall of hundreds of meters, the engineers realized that resilience could be a weapon. The new plan was to keep the probe's exposure to the punishing environment as minimal as possible. The goal was no longer merely to survive the descent, but to cheat it, to fall fast, to land hard, and to capture an image of an alien world before that world could inevitably destroy the messenger. It was a testament to an unyielding human need, to cast a light into the deepest darkness and to see what lies within, no matter the cost.
To land on Venus is not a matter of delicate precision, but of controlled, intentional violence. The question is not how to touch down gently, but what happens when you simply let go, surrendering a machine to the fury of a world determined to destroy it. The answer is embodied in the stark, functional design of the Soviet Venera landers, specifically in two prominent rings that define their alien structure.
At the base, a flat metal circle connected to the main body by a series of shock-absorbing legs. This is not so much a landing gear as it is an impact ring, an altar built for a final, brutal sacrifice upon the Venusian surface. Above it, a broad, flared structure, an aerobrake that resembles a strange, oversized hat. This is the key to survival. In an atmosphere so dense it is almost a liquid, a parachute is a liability. Instead, this simple, elegant shield is all that is required. It bites into the thick, superheated air, transforming a terminal velocity plunge into a survivable descent. The atmosphere of Venus, a crushing, suffocating blanket 90 times denser than Earth's, is put to work. It ceases to be mere aches to melt it.
But what of the view from this hellscape?
After surviving the fall, the challenge becomes seeing. On October 22, 1975, Venera 9 succeeded. Its camera, protected by a lens cap that successfully jettisoned, captured the first photograph ever taken from the surface of another planet. What it revealed was not a landscape of majestic vistas, but a stark, fractured wasteland. A field of broken, jagged rocks, their edges sharpened by unknown forces, lay scattered in its desolation. Its profound importance lies not in its beauty, but in its existence. A postcard from a place that should be impossible to witness.
Just 3 days later, its identical twin, Venera 10, arrived at a different location. The view it returned was starkly different. The jagged debris was gone, rapow, a geological scar hinting at a violent volcanic past. The twin missions revealed that Venus was not a monolith. It was a world of varied, if uniformly hostile, terrain.
The path to discovery, however, was fraught with failure. The subsequent missions, Venera 11 and Venera 12, reached the surface only to remain blind. Their lens caps, which had protected the delicate camera optics from the searing heat of descent, failed to release. It was the ultimate Venusian paradox. A device must be armored to survive the journey, yet that same armor must be shed by a delicate automated system that has also endured the same infernal plunge. These probes became silent witnesses, their eyes sealed shut, forever staring into the blackness of their own protective shells as the immense heat and pressure slowly crushed them into silence. Then came 1981, and a mission designated with a number steeped in superstition, Venera 13. It would prove to be one of the most successful ventures into this alien realm. For the first time, humanity saw Venus in color. The image it returned showed a familiar scene of flat, sandy rock, but with a crucial difference. The probe had touched down near the edge of what appeared to be a cliff or a steep embankment. This subtle feature provided a sense of depth, a hint of a horizon, transforming the alien vista from a flat collection of data into a tangible place. It felt at once more real, and for that very reason, profoundly more alien. In these color images, the base of the lander is again visible, a metallic intruder in an ochre world. And around the circumference of its impact ring, a crown of brutalist teeth. These were not merely for show.
They served a critical aerodynamic function. Engineers had discovered that the probes could spin and shake violently as they fell through the dense lower atmosphere. These metal fins were added to the outside of the ring to stabilize the descent, to tame the fall and prevent a rough landing that could damage the priceless scientific instruments.
And Venera 13 was more than just a camera. It was a field geologist. Equipped with a drill and a surface sampler, it reached out a robotic arm to analyze the Venusian soil. The mechanism bored into the rock, drew a sample into an airlock, and subjected it to analysis. The results were revelatory. The material was remarkably similar to a terrestrial rock known as tuff, essentially solidified volcanic ash. This single finding confirmed a history of explosive volcanism, painting a picture of a world once, and perhaps still, racked by immense geological power.
Yet, its most profound instrument was not one that could see or touch, but one that could listen. Venera 13 carried a microphone. For 64 precious minutes, as the probe slowly succumbed to the environment, it recorded the sounds of Venus. Amidst the whirring of its own machinery and the thud of its drill, it captured the low moan of a wind sweeping across the desolate plains, the first and only audio recording from the surface of another world.
These fleeting whispers, these ephemeral postcards of light and sound, are all that survived. Each lander, after its brief moment of glory, was inevitably and completely destroyed, its components melting, its structure collapsing under the colossal pressure. They are monuments not to conquest, but to curiosity, a testament to the brief, brilliant moment when humanity reached out and touched the inferno, listening for a reply in the wind.
The sound is a ghost in the machine, a faint alien hiss, punctuated by the mechanical groans of a probe fighting for its life. These are the final whispers from another world.
The last of these echoes came from Venera 14. A near-perfect twin to its predecessor, it descended through the acid clouds into the same crushing abyss. Its cameras revealed another panorama of desolation, a vast, flat expanse paved with a volcanic rock uncannily similar to the material that forms the immense dark floor of Earth's own oceans.
And with that fleeting transmission, silence. It was the last time a human creation would feel the searing heat of the Venusian surface. The final photograph ever taken from that world marked the end of an era. But this triumph was also a terminus. A question hangs in the void left behind. Why, after such a monumental effort, did we never return?
The answer is etched in a brutal calculus of risk and reward. To send a robot to Mars is to invest in years of discovery. The longest any Venera lander ever endured the furnace of Venus was a mere 2 hours. The ambition that drove the program was ultimately extinguished not by the hostile atmosphere, but by the collapse of an empire. As the Soviet Union dissolved, its cosmic aspirations dissolved with it. A new Russia, facing the profound turmoil of the 1990s, had other priorities.
Western space agencies, meanwhile, remained pragmatic. Justifying the colossal expenditure for a mission guaranteed to be brutally short was an argument few scientists believed they could win before politicians.
And so, our nearest planetary neighbor remains veiled. The secrets of its surface, once briefly touched, have receded back into myth. It hangs in our night sky, a brilliant, silent testament to a frontier we reached, only to abandon. A world waiting, under the crushing weight of its own atmosphere, for our return.